Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My brothers and sisters, it is a pleasure and a sense of pride to be amongst you on this occasion, an occasion in which we are celebrating the Qur'an. And this occasion should also be an occasion of remembrance of the essence of the Qur'an. It is very true that the Prophet ﷺ had said, خَيْرُكُمْ مَنْ تَعَلَّمَ الْقُرْآنَ وَعَلَّمَهُ. Best of you are those who learn the Qur'an and teach it to others. That all of us, as parents, as children, should seek to learn the Qur'an and to teach the Qur'an to others. However, due to forces beyond our control, the memorization of Qur'an has been given precedence over the understanding of the Qur'an. So that the famous hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, in which he stated that the best of us are those who memorize who learn the Qur'an and teach it to others, has been changed into خيركم من حفظ القرآن وحفظه. The best of you are those who memorize the Qur'an and have others memorize it. But that is not what the Prophet ﷺ said. He said, the best of us, the best of you all, are those who learn the Qur'an. And the Sahaba, speaking about learning the Qur'an, spoke about learning it 10 verses at a time. Not moving on to the next 10 verses until they understood what Allah had said. And they tried to implement what Allah had said. That's how they learned the Qur'an. And they are the Salaf, the best of generations. Khairun nasi qarni, as the Prophet ﷺ said. The best of generations is my generation, the Sahaba. That's how they approached the Qur'an. And we need to revive this approach. That while we teach our students to memorize the Qur'an, we also teach them the understanding of what they're memorizing. The pressure, the global pressure in the Muslim world is on the memorization. But we have to take the bold step forward in teaching the Qur'an's message as Allah described the Qur'an as being hudan lil muttaqin, guidance for those who fear Allah. How can we guide if we don't understand the Qur'an? So we need to reintegrate the understanding of Qur'an along with its memorization, so that we don't end up in the situation that we are today, where in order to ensure the memorization, we introduced beating, hitting, striking, beating our children. In Canada a few years ago, a woman, Muslim, originally from Pakistan, Montreal, Canada, beat her child to death because he didn't memorize the passages that were given to him by his Qur'an teacher. Beat him to death. How could that happen? It could only happen because people had a distorted understanding of what learning the Qur'an meant. Hadiths were made up, fabricated, talking about how one who memorizes the Qur'an will be able to bring 7 generations that follow him or her into paradise along with them. This is fabricated hadiths. These are not hadiths. But it's widespread to justify the mere memorization of the Qur'an. So it is very important for us to make an effort now. In our time, we will be held responsible if we let this opportunity pass and our generation dies and what is there of memorization continues. Pure memorization without understanding. So my brothers and sisters, on this auspicious occasion, I ask you to reflect on this failure, disservice which we are doing to the Qur'an, which we have inherited. Allah tells us in so many verses, أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ. Have you not reflected on the meanings of the Qur'an? أَمْ عَلَى قُلُوبٍ أَقْفَالُهَا. Or are your hearts locked up? That is the consequence. If we're not reflecting on its meaning, then our hearts have become locked up. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. I ask Allah to protect us from the evil consequence of doing a disservice to the Qur'an in the name of teaching the Qur'an. We have to break this circle that we are caught up in and take a new path, returning back to the way of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and his companions in the early generation. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the courage and the strength to correct this mistake which we have inherited and to change the future, as Allah had said, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِقَوْمٍ حَتَّى يُغَيِّرُوا مَا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ. Allah will not change this condition that the Muslim world is in, suffering in Palestine, as we are suffering, until we change ourselves. Barakallahu feekum. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the strength to take on this task and to do our duty to the ummah, to our children, to our communities. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.